What's going on, good people? Good people, what's going on? It's your girl Nene. I'm back once again. I know I said that a lot. Hey, stay on repeat. Apologies for that. Procrastination is my best friend. So, with that being said, I am going to try to do better. Get back on to reviewing shows, movies, just different topics. Anything I just feel I want to share my thoughts with. So, with that being said, these are my thoughts. Best Man, the final chapter. Now, just a quick background synopsis of anyone who's been living under a rock. Best Man, originally the first movie came out in '99, the sequel came out in 2013, and the final chapter, which was also going to be a movie, but the director and creator Malcolm D. Lee decided to make it into a limited series on Peacock, which came out in 2022. Now, as you can see, there's been big gaps. So the first movie coming out in '99 showed the college friends meeting up on the cusp of Harper's book, Unfinished Business, coming out, and going to Lance Sullivan and Mia Armstrong's wedding, and what ensued there as far as things from the past coming back up. Then 14 years later, just wanted to look at my notes, make sure I was correct. 14 years later, we have The Best Man Holiday, which actually comes back around to show us where all of our favorite characters went, and where they added their lives. And then 9 years later, we have The Best Man final chapter. So, for anyone who is not familiar with Best Man or haven't watched it or anything like that, I would suggest to watch it. To go, these are some great movies. You had a great ensemble. You have Tay Diggs, Morris Chestnut, Terrence Howard, Nia Long, Sanaa Lathan, Melissa De Sosa, Regina Hall. Oh my goodness, the gentleman that plays Merch. Why can I never remember his name? Like, that's horrible. Give me 1 second. Harold and Pertaloo, I guess that's how you pronounce his last name. And Monica Calhoun. Monica Calhoun, of course, played the great late Mia Armstrong. I'm sorry, the Mia played the late Mia Morgan slash Mia Sullivan. Jordan Nia Long's character last name is Armstrong. But anyway, the last chapter or the final chapter is to close up the Best Man. I guess you could say trilogy or franchise. Uh, it just shows how much that this movie means to the culture that we was able to see these characters uh, from '99. That's 24 years, 23, 24 years of seeing these characters, and then just seeing where their life progressed at. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to break it up per each individual. So this way it's not all convoluted. Okay, so sit tight. I'm about to start off with Lance. Okay, so the last time we saw Lance Sullivan, he was a big time football player. His wife Mia, his love of his life, college sweetheart, and please apologies to anyone that hears that noise in the background. That is my new addition, Snowball, and he's letting me know that he wants to get out and walk around, but we're not going to do that today. Okay. Anywho, what's going on is in this part of his life, he has now retired. He still has his 4 children, but his wife is no longer with him. And how he navigates in life without his significant other, without his love interest. The best thing I love about this writing from Malcolm D. Lee and the other writing cast is showing how men cope with the loss of their significant other, their loved one. Okay, the way that he's coping is, of course, he's not facing it emotionally. He's just doing everything physically, and as he said, that is nothing that's allowing him to get over the hurt, the pain. So he is just having random escapades with as many women as he can just to drown out whatever, because this is what he's used to doing. He's used to doing that. He did that in college, so he wants to do that now. He wants to escape. The only difference is, sir, you're 48. Okay, and the way you're coping now is not going to be the best way for you. They have some funny parts. One of my favorite parts is when they go to, I think it was Jamaica. I can't remember where Quentin's wedding was at. But when Tay Diggs gave him the side eye when he saw the limo driver, because he already knew Lance was about to get it in with him. He already knew that. Like, that was a given. But we just see that he's at a loss, and that how much Mia meant to him, but also how much he feels at a loss because now he's retired. So not only do he not have his love as far as his love mate, but his love and passion for football. So he's trying to navigate life in that aspect. So that's where he's at. Uh, Also, with that being said, just figuring out overall purpose in life. And I don't know if anyone else has had that thought or aspect in their life where they're like, wow, I'm at such and such age. What am I supposed to be doing? Whether you had a significant loss or not, like, you may not have seen your life going the way that it went, and you have to pivot. And I just think that the writing for that was so great. We see him trying different avenues. Hey, he tried to do commercials. That didn't work. He tried to do sports commentating, which that didn't work, which he did something that I've always wanted to do, is choke the living life out of Stephen A. Smith. When I tell you Stephen A. Smith get on my last nerve, like my nerve right here, he jumps over that nerve, go back on the nerve, and then tap dance like his name is Mr. Bojangles. When I tell you Stephen A. Smith get on my nerve, but that's neither here or there. I digress. But he's still the godly man. He comes into a situation when it comes to his son wanting to, I don't want to say come out the closet, but actually just be his self as far as being non-binary, which is a big hot topic right now, especially in Black culture, and being accepting of that, showing that you can't pray the gay away, which the son is not saying that he's gay. The son said he doesn't really know what he is. He just is exploring. He doesn't know. But the fact that it was true to life. It wasn't a thing that Lance was accepting of it, like automatically, like, oh, I love you. That's not realistic. That's not realistic. There's parents, including myself, um, that I don't know how would react to that. He didn't know how he react, but the natural thing for him is that I don't want that, and I don't want you to do that. I want you to be the person I created you to be. He wanted his son to be a football player like him, follow his lead, and that wasn't what his son wanted to do. So the factor that he had that aspect and the dynamic between them two and coming together, and at the end of the day allowing his son to be who he wanted to be was great. Also, the writing when it came to Lance going to Quentin's wedding and actually not meaning to, but essentially in the long run ending up falling in love with another woman. Excuse me, I can't remember the lady's name. I can't remember the character's name. I just know she's Caribbean and whatnot. Apologies, okay, to that woman. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't know that woman. Apologies to that woman. Shout out to Kiki Palmer on that. But essentially, in the long run, falling in love with her, um, and just being able to maneuver and find a new way of life. He did, again, like I said before, he tried different things. He essentially knew that his passion was football. So, what do some men do that used to play football or used to do something that they did and they loved in the past? He tried to go back. He tried to go back at 48 years old, 47, 48, and be a football player. Baby, when I tell you, when I saw that, I said, okay, he looked good. But once them little young Thundercats, them little freaking Transformers come and bust you upside your head, you going to feel something different. Let me tell you something. I am all of 42. In February, I will be 43. I have injured myself just getting up, getting out the bed, and going to the bathroom. Okay? I have injured myself just trying to dip it low and spread it wide on the dance floor. I thought I was dropping it like it was hot or lukewarm, and I dropped it, and it was not. Okay? You hear me? I had to get a boot on my foot for trying to twerk. Okay? So, that's not my ministry. Okay? The stuff I used to do back in the 20s, 19s, and 20s, that ain't it right now. So when I saw that, I said, sir, you do realize that they hit differently, okay? And sure enough, he gets out there. He got this young Thundercat out there who's the new creme de la creme, the new guy, the new, I would say, Lance Sullivan that pulls back no punches because Lance was that man, okay? And the minute that dude hit him, he was like, oh, Lord, no. What is that? I think he dislocated his kidney when he hit Lance. Like, Lance was like, no. But then what was the calling? What did he end up doing at the end of the day, long run? Being a coach. And that's what happens a lot of times. Maybe being a sports commentator is not your thing. Maybe being a coach is. You just got to. He just had a passion, so he finally found his purpose. So that was a good avenue. I love that part about Lance's writing, the writing of Lance. I think the next one is going to be the couples. I think I'm going to talk about. I think the best thing. No, I'm going to talk about Jordan first. So let's go on to Jordan. Jordan Armstrong. What can I say about Jordan Armstrong? First of all, I resonated with Jordan Armstrong in the beginning, in the first series, in the first movie, because I also went to school for broadcasting. And at one point in my life, I really essentially thought I was going to be Jordan Armstrong. I was going to work for BET. I was going to be that executive. I was going to be that producer. I was going to be that chick. And it didn't work out like that for me because I did not have that desire. Once I started going into broadcasting, I was like, this is not for me. I don't really like it. But to see her go on and be essentially the head of a network, which was great. To see Robin being the head of a network was so beautiful because you don't see that many black women making that move and using their voice. But the problem is she did not have that work-life balance. Okay, so she's at the retreat for Quentin for his wedding with Nicole Erie Parker. I don't remember what her character name was. I don't remember. I just know her name is Nicole Erie Parker because, of course, I remember her. Because why? She's Nicole Erie Parker. Anywho, I digress. Um, so Jordan doesn't know her work-life balance. The last time we seen her, she was with I forgot the white boy name. I know he's with Leanna Rhymes. I think his name is Eddie. I can't remember that man's name. I'm sorry. Charge it to my brain, not my heart. Anywho, she ain't with him. It doesn't matter anyway. She ain't with him anyway. But it just shows how you have to have that work-life balance. Then she meets up with a guy that's there at the resort. I'm just going to call him Dark Chocolate because I don't remember that man's name either. Lord forgive me. But he's basically telling her you need to put the work down and start living your life, which she essentially ends up doing at the end. Don't want to spend too much time on individuals because it's just two couples that I really want to talk about. But she ended up giving, I don't know, shout out to anybody that's watched Power. She ends up rekindling an old flame with old boy Silver. I don't remember the man's name. I just remember him as Silver from Power. I didn't like him in Power, and I get with Tasha, and I sure didn't like him with Nia Long. The whole time she was with him, I'm like, I feel no sparks. I feel nothing. Jordan has always had something for Harper. Harper has always had something for Jordan. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But in the long run, she ends up choosing herself, self care. So her storyline was all about self care because she worked herself to the point she was making herself physically sick and she was negating herself. So her storyline focusing on self care was beautiful, was wonderful, and I loved that. So we're gonna move on to Candy and Merch. Okay, Candy and Merch. Where do we leave them off at? Okay, so essentially they have their own school, so they're black educators. Merch, instead of using his law degree and his law license, he of course opened up a charter school. Candy did too. The thing I love about their writing, it was showing them not having the life balance in regards to assisting and being great co-parents while in a marriage, because you do need to be co-parents in a marriage. It does not mean co-parenting is not just once you're divorced or you're not married or you're single. It doesn't mean that. Co-parenting exists in a marriage as well, and having that actual balance. But also they're writing with, it shows that neither one of them, excuse Snowball, hush up, sir. It also shows that neither one of them was happy in the place that they was in their life. Like everything was going good. They had a nice house. They had their children. They was essentially taking care of their students as well. But neither one of them was happy. Candace, aka Candy, essentially didn't know where she fit in because she was receiving an award, and it was like, okay, but what do I have to show for it? Like, I'm your wife. I understand why you get awards because you're this lawyer, you're this, you're the head chaplain, or I don't know what they, head principal, I don't know what they call them at the charter schools of the school. I'm just your wife. So she essentially ends up going back to school. Merch was unhappy with himself because Harper's book did so good, top seller. He's doing all of these things. It ends up turning into a movie, and pretty much it made Merch look like a simp. So he had to deal with that, where it's like, okay, am I really a simp? Like you demasculating me. There was a situation where it was a Karen situation, and how he didn't feel like he could be boisterous because him being a black man, yelling, screaming at a white woman, he'll look like a bully. So the writing with that, the suppressing of his storyline was great. It shows that he had to find himself, and you can find yourself at any point in your life. Same thing with Candy. She was finding herself, finding her voice, found out something that she's passionate about, which this series touched on so many different topics, where it talks about mental health and also the pharmaceutical industry, but also anyone that wants to go the holistic way. Her daughter deals with anxiety, and instead of pushing down prescription medications, she found a passion of, she wanted to find different alternatives, and in that she met a uh, this advocate, this activist, to be her advisor, okay, at school, and how he ended up dishonoring her trust, and essentially SA, because I don't know if YouTube will pull it, but SA her, um, and used his power for evil, and just showing how she maneuvered with that, and the fact of how she told her husband, and how he, as he was getting to know himself and build himself up more, I won't say make himself more masculine, just build himself up more and release his anger that he has in a different avenue, instead of taking the physical route and putting his hands on a man, which I would have did that. I'm sorry, that's just me. I'm not wrapped too tight sometimes. um she just put it to paper and told everybody. She did a Me Too moment. So seeing that and them coming together, that was a beautiful aspect of their life as well. So now we're gonna move on to my two favorite um, couples. which is Quentin and Shelby, and Harper and Robin.